Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Dobbs here. It's what date are we? Are we on the 9th of December, 2021? Ooh, the last video was a big download for me. I was talking about how the last new moon was going to be pretty seismic, and you'll notice that the first thing that we saw was on the new moon was the big volcano going off in Indonesia, and then two earthquakes, one in the Sandwich Islands and one in Chile. And that's really what this discussion is about, more than anything else. The thumbnail I've put on the top of the video was a post that just came up from Mr. MBB333 on damn, good morning. Was just put up, he put it up on the 7th of December, 2 days ago. And I found that quite an interesting shot, because La Palma is quietening down. And excuse me just jumping on and doing a live stream here, and just, because I'm not making that many videos at the moment, because I'm just kind of watching this space, really. And trying to make sense of what's happening. That's an indication that this object has not gone necessarily past Earth, but when whatever happens during the time of the moons, as in full moon or new moon, it seems to amplify whatever's going on there. First time catching you live. Good morning. Hello. I just thought I'd check in with you guys as well, and just do a little bit of a live stream as well, and just to try and because, like I say, I'm just every moment I get at the moment, because I'm expecting something quite big to go down. I realize that we've got this big story thrown over the top, this big whatever, we don't even need to mention its name, thrown over the top of everything we're doing at the moment, restricting our movements in every way possible. And it's you notice that all of the actual all of the main points of most restriction, what should I say, the most amount of people leaving this planet, as it were, due to this thing that I'm not going to mention. We seem to be having, by my calculations, a flyby, and I find that quite odd as well, but maybe not that odd. But I just wanted to kind of talk about what we might see now. We've seen a characteristic now since 2018 of objects clearly running parallel to our own orbital track around the sun. We saw it in 2018 with Kilauea. Went off for 6 weeks, and then we certainly saw a lot of our volcanic activity in 2020. We certainly saw, the worst storms in China since 1930, since the discovery of Pluto. We have 2 movies coming out. Don't look up. Sorry, I haven't just completely suddenly stopped and freeze framed that and just seeing some of the comments coming up there, because I've got my glasses on and I'm using a bigger screen, so I can actually read your comments. Sometimes I'm doing it on my phone and what have you, so I can't always read them. So if I suddenly go quiet, I'm just like staring at the comments. Good day. Hi, Dave. Good day to you. Don't Look Up and Moonfall. Oh, I wonder what they're about. Are they kind of like, are they a bit like, what was that movie called? Not a nostalgia, about the big object coming in. Oh, it's kind of like that, isn't it? One of you guys are going to make me remember. But what was my thread there? I've got to try and stay with my thread. And I was talking about the volcanoes, kind of this long duration volcano. It's very unusual, like we saw in Iceland beginning like about March this year, and we've seen some very very sort of like Greenland is that because are you saying that because of the movie or because of the or because of the volcano going off? Well, that's Iceland, isn't it? Hey Dave, on my way to work, sending love from Austin. Thank you. Um, hey Dave, on my way to work, sending love. Oh, same. So okay. The So we're seeing these unusual kind of characteristics in these volcanoes, very long duration eruptions, and the fact that we've just seen that with La Palma, and the fact that La Palma's just stopped, and then we get the big earthquake in the big volcano in Indonesia, two big earthquakes in Chile and below. That tells us that this object has passed the ecliptic, but it doesn't mean that it's crossed the orbital track of Earth's orbital track around the sun, and and then we see this shot from Mr. MBB 333, and we know that you can imagine right now we're as we go through this period right up to the end of March, we are on a major highway of planets coming in from this big object. Remember that I think it was the penultimate video I showed a big red object, and I might have put it in the thumbnail of the image as well on the video, and it was a shot from Brandon Corey Nagley, and he put it up, and it was a night shot of a big red object. Now that could have been this object that we're talking about now, going past us and going out, and that shot from Mr. MBB 333 just coming in is that object getting smaller, and that it passed us. I cannot imagine that we would get a passage and see it that size without much bigger earthquakes. I just can't imagine that without much bigger storms. I think about it, it makes me tremor. I've been getting these problems with my skin. I've been really kind of battling with it. And that's one of the reasons I had to take a bit of a break from it all. The anxiety of it, just chartering this thing for myself, and the way it turns my life around, and it forces me. Just lately, I've had to, I've kind of bitten off a little bit more than I can chew. I've kind of bought these boats, and I've been kind of, trying to use the money from my mum's inheritance, but not just because I wanted to just put it into something, but because I really want to enjoy that money while I've got that money, and I really want to enjoy these times. And it's not. I know it sounds a bit kind of selfish and all the rest of it, but I'm totally, because of my own experiences of of writing laughing gas, I'm totally in this. I was taken in to show. I was shown this kind of world that we're all building on a high level. I had to go through. I had to die on this ayahuasca experience. I know it sounds so over the top, but I had to see that. So I saw that other space. I was told, you can't see it unless you go through the same process everyone else sees it. Basically, there's no what's right for one is right for all, and so everything I'm doing on this level is also aware that I'm building on a high level of everything that I'm trying to do. So trying to put time and effort into creating homes and doing all these sort of things that you can do. You see how anxious I am when I talk about that. It makes me go so nervy and so anxious. So anyway, So I just feel like I'm putting a lot of time and a lot of effort into that, and I'm just trying to carry on with doing stuff through this whole thing. So while I'm on here, let me just now catch up with some of your comments, Ashake, because there's loads of you suddenly here, and I'm just like um, that was the last time I saw Greenland. So, hey Dave, on my way to work, we did that one. Yes, it's the end of the world. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not. I think that we just, for me, this is a big threat. Like I say, this big object, this big blue object that I'm of an opinion. Don't forget, these are only my opinions. And, some of you are coming from all your different opinions, and we've all got our different truths and our different windows and our different kind of perspectives. And we've all spent a lot of time, one way or another, investing our time and effort into different nuggets of information. And some of those we are starting to, many times I've had to kind of throw this whole model down. You've seen me have to take, when Alex Luhan posted that shot, like I say, I often talk about on the 1st of September, that just annihilated my model. It just annihilated my model. And I had to just kind of, it was the final bit of coming out of the heliocentric model. And again, you know what I mean? The big, when Kilauea did go off in 2018, and we got all the crazy sightings and all the crazy seismology and all the crazy, everything went mad. And my model just didn't have any place for that. And I just had to throw everything. I just, sometimes we're up against unbelief mechanisms which are holding us back. We get snared on different ideas, and they hold us back. And all I can really say to you all out there is that you've seen me change my model all the way through this. And so we're just pushing this through and reinventing ways to look at this, where we can allow all these different flybys to work. And like I say, that Alex Luhan shot, it enabled us to finally come out of a heliocentric model. And then we can start mapping out how those positioned with all the different models when we were actually out of that. I mean, it was such a massive step to actually, for me, it was such a massive, expansive step within myself. I occupied, my soul occupied a bigger space within me when I grasped that. I felt that. I felt my universe expand here in this earth. I felt my connection to the universe expanded when that happened. So let's just so not to say that that's the end of the world. It is the end of a world. It's the end of the astral worlds. It's the end of the astral worlds that are going to go here, and they go periodically. This is what the Zoroastrians predicted or tell us happens. Every big cycle, there's a massive reckoning, and this thing comes and it annihilates the astral worlds. And everything that is in there is transferred to a higher level. It's not destroyed, it's transferred. And it's just whether you want to go with that transference. And if you don't, then you have to come back here and start over. And that's all right as well. There's no losers in this equation. There's just a massive transit that's happening now. And so mustn't be worried too much. All the CEOs are getting ready to flee to their bunkers. You can imagine that, this object I'm charting, I'm assuming that you can imagine the kind of, it was really skewed kind of what we were getting last year at this time in terms of volcanic activity, because it was happening. We were having 6.2s in Alaska in kind of November, maybe even December, I don't know, but that sort of time. Maybe it was October. But I think it was, you'll see there's, it wasn't massive. It wasn't like the kind of like the July 2021, which we knew was going to come, and we saw it. That was the blue object again. But you can imagine that if this thing is, you can imagine that we've seen this object affecting La Palma in the northern hemisphere coming in and tracking with us, not coming past our ecliptic plane like that, tracking with us this whole time. It's got to go. If it's, you can imagine, if it's going from north to south, there's we're going round. We're coming round the Earth, say, we're coming round the sun like that. And if an object comes from north to south across the ecliptic, the width of its in our circumference that it will affect will be, because it's coming across like that, it's only occupying, if you like, a bandwidth of our of our orbital circumference, for a smaller bandwidth of our orbital circumference. But if it's running along with us, it's every indication that it's going to have its widest exit bandwidth. I truly do not know if that object was this object passing, but we've got to fly this like a submarine now. We've got to pretend that we're in a submarine and we're going along, and we've got all these detectors. That was me putting my neck on the line to say a massive volcano is going to go off. You saw La Palma did massively surge on that new moon, and then it's over. That is a magnifying glass of what is happening around you. That's all that is. It's not, it increased its proximity. It's just a magnifying glass. When that crosses closest to us, when it reaches closest to us, it will start having effects, obviously, because it will affect us. Well, that's what I assume. Its closest point will be, and it looks like it's crossed the ecliptic. That's a big thing. That's a good thing. Anyway, let me keep going on. They're going to be fleeing to their bunkers. Sorry about this. So, Dave, have a good day from Mac in the Pyrenees. I'm so missing the Pyrenees. I'm so wanting to go up. And you know what? Where did he say that? I suddenly saw his comment. In the Pyrenees, there he is. Yeah, I love the Pyrenees. I go up there to dance, believe it or not. I love all the dancing. I go to all the baltrads and that sort of stuff. I fell in love with all the old-fashioned dancing, all the mazurkas and the schottisches, and the kind of like they're like waltzes, but they're old-fashioned. They're beautiful, and they're so kind of like where the Spanish all about the hips, and the Latino kind of like the Spanish dances is like these petite kind of steps, and it's like stepping into a bygone age. It's beautiful. But I mean, there's so much else going on. There's not many corporations up in the Pyrenees, and there's so much music, and it's just such a lovely place. I miss it so much. It's like, to me, that's heaven up there. So I'm in utter envy. But then I love Glastonbury. I love I love Somerset. I love Bath. I love Bristol. I think I'm happy wherever I am, really. Hey there, DD. Hey. The other night on Sky Watch Media News that released a ninth planet They released a ninth planet found in our solar system and said approximately 10, 11 times the size of Earth. Yeah. Of Melancholia, that was the name. Excuse me not to kind of like get too excited about the kind of like the news of a new solar system or a new dwarf planet, because there's been 6,000 of them discovered since the first one, SETI B or Mirror, in 1596, and so much of them are just, it seems so many of the stories that we're given are just deceptions for the current astronomical community to be kept in this little kind of cage that that has been put over the top. But it seems that most of our science is just there to direct us away from something or other. It's Melancholia. That was the name of the um, planet destroyer viewed worldwide. What was that? That was Liddell. I'm terrified of saying people's names on on things on the comments in case I say them wrong, because I'm so you wouldn't believe I write and everything else like that, because I'm so Asperger's, you wouldn't believe. And for me to write and get anything up, when I write out, I just, all my letters go in the wrong place and I read everything in the wrong place. Absolutely terrible. I struggle so much with reading. And Against the Grain and Wrap the News have good images. Yeah, I do. I love them both. Watch them both. Always absolutely amazing. Matt Rogers gets great pics and videos sent from his subs. Yeah, I love Matt. I love him dearly. Hi from Links. Thank you. Followed your research for years. Love your soul messages and sharing your journey. Be present. Love and hugs from Ireland. That's from Julie. Thank you. Earth is pretty tough so far. It's pretty mad times, isn't it? It's got to be said. Update video on your van welding. Yeah, you should. I'm just been out there now, just kind of getting the trying to get some. It's going really slow because I'm doing 2 boats up and I'm trying to do these vans, and the van's just a total bit of a white elephant. But then I've had it since 2015. I've had it since my original van. Do you remember the story of my original van? The video's still there, the one that burnt. It's the first video I made when I worked out the 200-day anomaly. And that was a lovely van. I painted it pink. I put a big bob on the side because I wanted to run for mayor of London. And it's funny how all my stories are so convoluted, but I wanted to run for mayor of London. And the reason I wanted to run for mayor of London, you want to hear the maddest thing, the maddest of maddest things, is because I'd been shown my ego on Mars when I was writing Laughing Gas. And this is how I was told that if I was going to get this information, I was receiving this information, but I was tearing myself apart. And so I'd been, excuse my convoluted, crazy stories. Hopefully I'm going to wind it back to the van. But the convoluted story. Oh yeah, so I'd been getting these messages, and then I'd been tearing myself apart, and I'd had a dream that I was in an airplane and it was coming in the Amazon. It was full color. I was coming in the Amazon. I was thinking, God, we're coming in really low, and I could see that snaky river, that really famous snaky river. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's actually come into a Iquitos. It's just utterly emerald, kind of like rainforest forever, and this winding river that loops in on itself and goes around you. You come in over it. It's just to die for. And and we'd come in really low, and it was totally real. I even blew on the window because I was so like in the plane. It was just like so utterly real. And as we came in, the top of the wing hit a tree, and it came over the top of the ring, and I shouted, "Pull up!" And I woke myself up, and I knew that I had to raise my vibration higher than my doubts and disbeliefs, my ego vibration. And so I'm going to wind this little story back. What an interesting little journey this one is. And so I could start getting these messages. And the way I wound this, the way I learned to go back, was writing about the different aspects of my life and trying to find the aspects of my life that caused me sadness, caused me to feel unworthy, and my own journey in trying to become more able within myself. And in my writing, in my expression, in my connection. And I opened up this connection, and I I started getting a message, and I was just like, I had to realize it was just going beyond me. This writing was just, it was like, I could almost take my hands away. It was just doing it on its own. It was like, oh my God. It was such a massive thing to make that connection for the first time. And then I said, "You're talking about my ego, aren't you? You're talking about my ego, that we're being, my ego is an invasive entity." I said, and I just these words just suddenly, when I realized they wasn't my own narrative coming through, I was just like, this voice just said within me, in my core, like as I'm writing it, but coming through, and says, "Do you want to see?" And I was just like, "I've come this far, I've come this far." So I was just like, "Oh, why? Yes." And so I saw my ego on Mars in a dream, where it was like a dream. I kind of woke up with a splitting headache, when I had some water, went back to my went back to bed, because I do this kind of, I did this 5 o'clock waking and writing practice, where I was trying to learn to do what I was doing on ayahuasca, but without any ayahuasca. I was just trying to do this whole process of waking at 5 o'clock in the morning whilst I was still in my dream state, and going straight to my dreams and accessing my kind of mental state, arriving at my reflective state from that dream state, from that space, and opening that door, trying to seeing what comes through, and bits come through, and little ideas come through, and you go back to them, and they unfold, and you go on these kind of breadcrumb trails through your kind of through your dream world, and you try and write everything. And anyway, I'm going to relate this back to the vans somehow. Because the van in the Pyrenees was the message that when I'd seen my ego on Mars, and I'd come back to my computer, I said, "I saw it, I saw it." I said, "It's not an alien. It's not an alien. It's not a." It was it looked like a human. It was an old man. It was an old man, gone, and just like 1,000 years old, just looked so ancient. His eyes, tiny, beady, looked like an old ancient Catholic. Where they were all just, there was a sea of them. There was a sea of Catholic priests, what looked like Catholic priests, all in these long black gowns, and they were all with their heads on their arms, and just one was just sitting up, and he was pounding his head, and I was behind him, and I was just like, I'd literally just, because I'd had this pounding headache of waking up, kind of like, and and then drank some water, couldn't work, went back to bed, put my head on my pillow, didn't even fall asleep, just put my head on my pillow. And as I put my head into my pillow, I put my head into what looked like Mars. I could just see into Mars. I was like, and so I was totally in my DMT, kind of like, these are when all the magic happens, when I get all the maddest kind of things, when I work with that space, in that twilight space, and I learn to open that door. You see, the ayahuasca just gave me the confirmation, but the DMT that is putting into your system is the natural drug that you're producing anyway. So when you're trying to work with your own, when you're actually making that effort to link with that side. Anyway, so I put my head straight into Mars, and I saw this being, and I saw him pounding his head. He was the only one kind of sitting up, realizing he'd lost his signal, and all the rest of them were just in people's heads. They were just swearing and screaming. I couldn't hear them, but I could feel the vile kind of hatred spewing out of them into whoever's head they're spewing that into. And he was pounding my head, and I said, "You're pounding my head, ain't you?" And he just turned around and he went, and I said, "I can see you." And his face was terrified when I said, "I can see you." he can see you. He was terrified. And then I was just pulled out of it. And I was just like, okay. So I went back to my computer. It wasn't like I had to put 4 months into opening this space. I just went back to my computer and I was like, I saw it. I saw it. It's not a ghost. It's not. I saw it. I didn't say it's not a ghost. It's not an alien. I said it's not an alien. It's not a reptile. It's not a whatever. It's a human. It's a person. It's a human. And the answer I got was no. It's not a human. It's not an alien. It's not a reptile. It's a soul. Just like you have a divine soul. It is a divine soul on a divine evolutionary path. And where you have been helped in your evolutionary path, so you are helping this being in its evolutionary path. So I said, so that's my ego. And it said, what makes you think it's your ego? So this to the van was how I fucking got onto linking to the van was that when I came back, I kept, I'd had this. So this is where the water came from. This is the whole, because I'd gone out to write, and I'd gone out to write into India. I'd been trying to write for ages, and I'd got this whole book in a dictaphone, this whole thing, and I'd gone out to India to write. Finally, I'd got on the plane on the day they flying up the Large Hadron Collider. Got on the plane, and I couldn't believe it that we were flying over the Large Hadron Collider on the 10th of the 9th, 2008, 10/9/8. The day they first fired it up. So I'm flying over it, and the captain's saying, "Don't worry about the Large Hadron Collider. We've been told that," you know what I mean? And then later you heard that a plane had smashed into 100 trillion bits up in the sky. There was no collision point yet. The plane was covered everywhere, like it had blown up or something like that. But it was like it had hit some invisible electromagnetic wall and just gone like a little balsa wood plane, just no big impact mark or anything. But anyway, so I had all this big question. I didn't know anything about Planet X, didn't know anything about any of this. Even back in 2012, I had no idea about Planet X. So it's pretty mad. But but when I came back to England, I was writing and I was getting all my stuff down and I was editing Laughing Gas and I was going through the whole process. But I was torn about this whole thing that had happened to me, this whole story about Mars, that in much of a sense was saying you're going to have to, if you're going to receive this message, you're going to have to work above that interference. As what's the point of going retrieving a sacred nugget of information and then feeding it to a monster that's going to tear it apart? To feed it to your doubts and your insecurities and your beliefs that are going to tear it apart. And you're just going to be like, and we go into this internal dialogue where we can't actually allow it to be. And that's the problem, is that all the stuff is just sitting there in plain sight. The biggest earthquakes, the biggest volcanoes, the biggest storms, the biggest everything going on, the most incredible sightings, all just occurring behind an invisible wall of belief that has been placed over us that is seemingly impenetrable to what's happening right in front of us. So I wanted to know. I kept saying, where's the water coming from? Where's the water coming from? And the answer I got was, all the answers are just there. You've got the main answer. You just got a kind of, I was like, but how do I see? How do I see? And the answer I got was this feeling constantly that's reflected back on me. It doesn't throw me all these things. I have to find them. But it gives me massive clues and it gives me massive leads in the right direction. But it will only do half its original kind of equation. When I was told I was going to write a book, was like, so what would I say? What would I say? He said, you do half and I'll do half. When I'd opened up this connection in South America by this ayahuasca and this big kind of thing. And so it was me I couldn't go off to South America every time I kind of want to commune with my kind of highest aspect. My mother never did anything like that. My father never did anything like that. Many channels don't do anything like that. But, you see the shamans, when they do the ceremony, they touch the ayahuasca on their lip. Just the touch of it is enough. It's so intense, ayahuasca. And the more you have it, the more your body rejects it, the more repulsive it gets. And the more you begin to understand the journey, the less you actually need it. And the more it becomes about the intention, because it's a very natural thing that our bodies can do. It's just that we have not learned to access that. And we suppress these kind of like these abilities. And it's such a wonderful thing. If you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you do a writing practice, and you do it for half an hour. Just get up. Don't have a cup of coffee. Don't wake up. Don't do the whole process. Go through. If you want a cup of coffee, then write out all the things you want. Much better to write out, oh, I want a fucking cup of coffee. Oh, I feel like thinking, oh, I feel fucking awful. I feel this. I feel that. Oh, I was going to write about what's this. I was thinking I was going to write about that. I was going to write about this. And just get it all down. Do whatever's going on in your head. Just make sure that you narrate everything that's going on. Don't let it all just sit there. Not if it's going on in your head. You want to know who it is. You want to man that station. Doesn't matter if it's good, it's bad. Laugh at it. If it's fucking weird, just go laugh at it. Just write it down and laugh at it. Say, do I really think that? That's hilarious. If there's something in your head that's not you and you're making it look at itself from another perspective that is where you are laughing at it, it doesn't like that. It feels utterly empowered. It feels like you can hear it and see it, and it's terrified because it does not want you to see where it truly is and where you truly are. Because everything wants to be here at the big party. This is where the party is. You know, if you're here on this earth in one of these bodies, you have the most sacred bit of technology. You have the most sacred bit of technology at your fingertips. This is what the party's all about. Who owns and who is in control of this wonderful bit of technology? All of you, all of us. Anyway, so how did that relate to the van? So I had to kind of like, for me to move forward, I had to kind of promote laughing gas. And I didn't know how to promote it. And I didn't know how to kind of proceed with this message that, oh my God, I could see the aspect of this Martian invasion. I could see that the water had somehow arrived from Mars. But I just couldn't see and I couldn't quite grasp. I could get that it was potentially a dimensional tear, but I just couldn't. The whole thing was just. And so I ran for Mayor of London. I mean, I didn't pay the £10,000 to run for Mayor of London. You know, if you're in America, if you're in Iceland, if you're in Australia, you could write to the council and say you're going to run for Mayor of London, and they would accept you as a candidate. And then what would happen is it would come to the 6-week period before the election. And that is the kind of big kind of expenses, everything's all kind of monitored and that sort of stuff. And when you, that day, the beginning of that 6-week period, anyone would have to pay whatever kind of nomination fees and get all the nominees and prove that they either work or live in that area and have the right to run in the election at that point and not before. So it doesn't matter who you are, you can put your name down and be a candidate to run for Mayor of London. And I just thought, well, given the opportunity, why not go and do that? Why not go and do that whole process? So I kind of did that, and for me, that was me shouting out. I was shouting, living out the front of the Guardian, saying we're being invaded by Martians, literally, because I was kind of promoting laughing gas, and I just wanted to reflect it out because I could see the evidence of it, and I was throwing bits of evidence, but I was trying to stand in the madness of it because I was so locked up in the awkwardness of it that let me just see if I can stop that.
Hello, your call cannot be taken at this moment, so please leave your message after the tone.
Stop. Sorry about that. Oh, anyway, that was so I built that van and I sprayed it bright pink and everything else like that, and got it all ready to do that big campaign. And then Boris Johnson stopped all the vans older than 2001 force everyone buying a new van, which was going to consume 100 times more fuel in its manufacture than the previous model was ever going to use in its lifetime just to manufacture. This kind of, I mean, I do see it, vans in a space, the fact that they made the catalytic converters so expensive, the whole thing. I do see in cities lots of vans. I do get it as well. I go to Delhi and that sort of stuff, and I see the pollution. I do see that we need to kind of we need cleaner air and everything else like that. So I get it. I do totally get it. It's kind of a catch-22 situation. There's the greenwashing and the greenwashing. But anyway, I built the van and then couldn't take it into London. But still had lots of fun with that van. Used it for the Bristol Mayor campaign because I had so much fun doing the London one. I just thought this is just too much fun. And it's just it's a fun way of getting involved in the whole things and bringing lots of attention to it. I've never tried to win. I've always just tried to bring a fun into the equation. But anyway, when I finally got the message, I got a message saying that this is a big waffle off of one message, isn't it? Because of the van. But the van is kind of like when I was told by my mum came down to the yard and where I was living in a caravan, and she said, I've just had a message from White Cloud and he wants me to come and channel for you. You guys have probably all heard this message before anyway, and he said so she came down and she channeled White Cloud, who my father used to channel. I mean, it's also mad, isn't it? The fact that there's these kind of you can tap into these, so they're not the only ones who channel White Cloud. There's anyway, he came down and he said, you understand you're also under my wing. And he said, you're going to get a message. And the answer, the thing that you've been waiting for, it's going to be a big message, and it's going to, when you get it, you're going to be on your own. You're going to have to kind of do whatever you're going to have to do and go on whatever your journey you're going to be going on with this. And, but you're going to have to make decisions all the way through this and navigate all the way through this. And I think a big part of my own navigation through this is because when we go through this process, there's going to be a lot of guilt. There's going to be a lot of leaving things behind and that sort of stuff. In truth, nothing is lost in this equation. I don't say nothing is lost because there's a lot of effort that people have made over a long period of time. I'm just going to move that over here and see if I can get a little bit of charge into the battery before it dies. But I'm waffling on a little bit. I mean, apologies about that. But yeah, when I was up, when I finally got that dream, one of the early morning kind of 5 o'clocky, kind of as they often come, the big ones, and like I say, anyone can do that. It's just a bit of a practice. There we go. The lights come on there. Anyone can do that practice of learning to access their dream space and their highest aspect. But yeah, I'd been shown Planet X and flying by, and I'd been told that. I said, tell us that doesn't hit, and the answer was no, it doesn't hit. It is deemed you're not a planet of war, but you are a planet subverted with war, and that will now change. But I was also told we obviously shouldn't leave Europe, and if we leave Europe, our fate is sealed, and that is a big worry for me now. That's my biggest worry, because I don't know if we can change this now. And it depends on how this whole process has unfolded and how the different agendas try to achieve whatever ends they're trying to achieve, and whether they decide to fall from grace and who decides to believe they have the right to go with those who fall from grace and decency, of allowing anyone and everyone to decide who and which God that they wish to connect to. That's anyway. So I ended up taking that truck up to the mountains, and I'd seen Planet X in a dream, and I'd obviously charted this whole thing up in the mountains, trying to see all the sightings and piecing the information together. And when I'd finally kind of made the decision, oh my God, there really is a 200-day pattern here that is predictable. And when I made that first video, all hell went loose. The truck, the guy downstairs from the place I made the video went mad, and he tried to set the building on fire, and he smashed out all the windows in the street up in the mountains, in this little village up in the mountains. He's a lovely guy, by the way. He really is. He was doing all sorts of aid to take food to the refugees. Amazing guy. No memory of what happened. Just lost his mind. And then he got taken away. In the newspaper, the report of it, apparently the next day, because it was in the paper the next day, because I went to bed, I posted a video after that whole thing had gone on. We'd heard the noise downstairs, and then it all gone a bit crazy. And then my mate came up and said, oh my God, he's just kind of lost it a little bit. I don't know what's happened, but he's been taken off by the police now. And it was an incident, whilst I was making this video, and I'm just like, oh, it's been 3 days and 3 nights with no rest. So maybe my whole mental kind of like noise was causing some of the disruption. Who knows? Or maybe just fear on the astral levels of what I was about to do, of what the consequences of what I was about to do was fearsome to someone or somewhere, because he got taken away and was in a cell. And then I went to bed. We loaded the video about 3, 4 in the morning, something like that. And I went to bed. I was going to sleep in the van. It was outside, and I didn't do that. My friend said, just stay in the spare room. So I stayed in the spare room, which was, the whole place was warm. I just was so tired. I must have slept 2 hours. I don't know. It's not very long. It was still very dark. And Bart was just like, Dave, oh my God, we gotta see this. Your truck is outside, it's on fire. And we went outside, the truck's fully ablaze. Was it still ablaze? No. Was it still ablaze? No, it wasn't still ablaze. It was out. I think the fire was out. But lots of people had amazing images of it fully ablaze, and everyone had basically come out to the top of the hill where it was parked and gathered round this truck thinking, oh my God, thank God this truck's up here away from the houses down here, and the house that had just caught fire and just been rebuilt with a massive diesel tank right out the front of it, because it was like next to a big farm kind of like, isn't it, out in the country. And then the vehicle just burst into flames. They all gathered around thinking, thank God it's up there. English vehicle up there, out the way. And then it roared into life. And it had the handbrake on. It was a second gear. Didn't give a shit. The engine just, and it just started up. And the wheels apparently just went into full scale, like spinning on the spot. Like, anyway, it started up on its own, and it just took off down the hill. And then went into this massive bush in the front of the house and rocked to its side, where you see it in the video, where you see me kind of like, oh my God, my truck's gone, all my life, everything. There were like, all my Bitcoin were in there, all the codes for it, everything was just gone. The whole thing was just like, it was a cosmic clean out. My entire life just gone like that. Well, not my entire life, but it was like something had happened. And so this is that replacement truck that came from that whole process, which was all because of running for Mayor of London, so I could do my thing for my gods and my connection, stand in my sovereignty. So I wasn't affiliated with any other political party, that I was doing it and making an effort to meet my creator, my God, that connects to my source, halfway, to get what I needed. It was an exchange. I had to meet it halfway. It wasn't willing to give it to me unless the powers that be, the real powers that be, that create this whole play are so powerful, and they work with those who can handle the information. And that's really why they have to, because certain information tears us apart. It feeds us. If we're not working with if we're not suitably raised high enough, or staying above our interference that takes us into anger, jealousy, kind of rage, and these kind of things that triggers us into those reactive belief spaces that we in ourselves can't move past. If information triggers that, then it sends you backwards. It doesn't make you progress. It sends you into a place of frustration. And no, nothing out there wants to overload you. I lost that information the first time I had my big communication. Where I said I was shown my ego on Mars and shown how part of my contract here on Earth has been working with that soul. Also, that was my agreement to come here to, go from my own soul evolution, to go from my own kind of process of development. Allow my humanity to go through that development, and also work with my ego duality, which was part of this current story, its development. And it's we're all trying to connect with our divine purpose on this planet right now. And a big part of what so many of you doing right now is you are holding a bigger story. You are open to a bigger story. You're starting to see how this is all fitting together in a bigger way. So who else did we have? Sorry, that was a massive one, just all going off from the van. Have I got lots of, that was all going off from the van, just from a little, and I was only kind of come in here just to do a quick update to say, really, I just don't know where this thing is coming out, to be honest with you. I really don't. I can just imagine that if it is coming out now, it's going to be, like I say, the widest bandwidth of possible within its range, because it's running almost parallel with us. And next year, the whole object which it's orbiting, I'm of mind, like I say, that this thing crossed the ecliptic around about 2016, possibly now. We really don't really know, but the big plasma shot that Jeff P posted on the 14th of October 2016 has always been kind of pivotal in that, and I just can't get around that. It fits in with everything else. It's a webcam. I love Jeff P. I just absolutely adore him. I adore his attentions and his work and his picking up something and running with it, and just keep going, knowing that this is important enough just to keep going. And we're all just kind of, when you're making videos about this, you just kind of like, you're on a front line that just batters you down and breaks you in some ways. You get to feel that you're on a divine pathway. But I've always felt like that. I've probably carried more weight, mate, doing this video and doing this work than any other thing I've ever done, because you're just putting yourself on a line. JDoc74, if you've checked in at all, by the way, JDoc74 was the guy that financially helped me out. Gave me a big PayPal donation, and I'm sorry I haven't been so active making videos or anything else like that. I have, like I say, been working on a revised version of Laughing Gas, not massively revised. I've been trying to go into it, and I just can't really change the editing of it that much. But it's a little bit of an order change and that sort of stuff. And I'm just trying to repost it on Amazon, and because I'm just going to try a completely different platform, even though platform, I get all these problems where I basically have barely had a sale on of my book, and I know that millions of people have watched my videos over the years and that sort of stuff. So many of my friends have bought copies. None of them, all of them, buy them the second-hand version that comes brand new off Amazon. So maybe doing it directly with Amazon, but I don't know how it can work. So I'm going to try and rework it as well, and I'm still thinking about the name and whether to keep calling it Laughing Gas or to change the name slightly. But there is going to be there is a book coming to you for that, and it is, I'm going to whenever this flyby comes, I'm going to feel a little bit more comfortable. I personally think that this big one we're seeing now is one of the twins, the one that Mr. MBB 333 posted. I think it's one of the twins, but coming in now. But it, because we've seen those sort of shots and that sort of stuff, and Brandon Corey Nagley about a week ago showed the twins coming in again, very small, but we know they're coming back round again for these cycles, because this has all been cyclic. And so many of you, after this flyby, we know that we've got the big February couple, the one in late February coming in, the one that caused like I say, the big earthquake in 2010. It's return date on at late February next year. And then the year after, it's going to be the return date of the one that caused Fukushima in March. What the ecliptic is going to be, how close they're going to be on the ecliptic, is very, very difficult to say. But it's looking like February is going to be a big flyby as well. It really is. But looks like, in my opinion, that Mr. MBB shot could have been this going, and it's already come and gone, and it's until the February one comes, we're not going to see it. But I just can't imagine that when this passes, gets really close to us and goes out beyond the orbital track of Earth. I'm imagining we're going to see a lot of activity. We're going to see a lot of activity. I would also ask you to kind of look at Hush Puppy as well. He's just posted an epic flyby of or an asteroid about 2 days ago or something. Epic shot of something massive over Egypt. So there is debris, and that red object that Mr. MBB 333 just posted, it really could be it. It's a real unknown. That could have been it, though. And we just don't know. We're just kind of like in this kind of like. But the story is something bigger is coming out of all this story now. Something bigger is coming out of this story now. And we're all starting to see a big thing. And all I can tell you right now is, as much as possible, just do what you can. Be active in every which way you can in your message of how you feel about what's happening at these times. I'm a little bit restricted on talking about certain things because they're just going to shut my channel down, and I'm already I know that my days are numbered. There's a lot of stuff going on. That is difficult for me to speak about on YouTube at the moment, but it's all getting shut down, guys. But other message to JDoc74 also is that I've set up a Reddit account, just in the name of Dave Dobbs. Not really done anything with it yet, but I thought when I post once I've released this book, I thought I was going to put a audio version up on the Reddit account and launch that via that, and start the building of the new model after whatever this flyby. Like I say, that could be it. The one Mr. MBB 33 posted could be it going back out, passing. It could be. Somehow I doubt it. I really do. But we are in December now. We are expecting a passage. There was a bit of debris. It wasn't nearly as big as what I thought if it was the passage. But we've also got to remember that we're kind of doing quite a good job in holding it all together and not going into massive war and everything else at this time. But then from another perspective, you can see war all over this world, but I just don't know. I just don't know where we're at right now. But I do kind of sense that something is in the pipeline, and that this thing is still got to do its transit. I really feel that. I might be wrong. I haven't got enough evidence just to say one way or the other at the moment. It's stacked both ways. Tricky, isn't it? Tricky. So I'm just kind of in the balance, just holding this, just trying to keep going, kind of keep doing all the little bits that I'm doing, kind of watching all the news, kind of like just anytime I'm seeing the protest out there, I'm like, yeah, come on. Anytime I'm seeing kind of anyone kind of taking a stand and speaking up in any which way they can, and all your research and all your sending stuff out there, and all you're just holding this story together. Don't believe in anything right now. Just keep a big open-ended bracket with all of this, but attempt to understand it. But do not think that you have got it right, or I have got it right. You know, all I've done, if I've done anything, is helped you consider some of the aspects of this and play with some of these ideas. You've all got your own ideas out there. Run with them, and slowly but surely we'll get a bigger picture. What the hell is going on? I think we're onto it. I think we're getting there. I really do. And I think there's just like so many of the comments coming in are very intelligent people. Oh, their consciousness is expanding at the moment, and we're being pushed up against a wall. And when humanity is pushed up against its wall, remember, they are terrified to take us into the hell realm, because the hell realm is where we become powerful beyond their comprehension. Those that subvert us, they want to take us into war in one sense, but if it doesn't work and we see what they're doing, it backfires on them. It always backfires. And that's, like I say, as I talked about in the last video, you know, when The Hobbit was all written, was all before the Second World War, and it was just like the precursor of all was about to happen. And like I say, the dragon, no, all the big armies, all those that are really in the know, they do not cross any lines that invoke the wrath of the dragon until the dragon's gone. No one does that. Only those that can be made to believe that they have the right to break those rules. Anyone who invades humans' right to connect to a god, you know, it comes at a massive price. It comes at a massive price because it is an invasion on heaven directly. Your body is a portal, is a portal to a higher vibrational realm. Yeah, this world is, but this body on this world is your specific portal. It is sacred. You are a temple to a higher realm. You are a temple of heaven. Literally. You are sacred. That's why I don't think you'll see any videos of anyone being forced. It's all choice. Painful choice. They're going to make it painful. They're going to drive us economically into it, but they can't. Well, they can pay other people potentially, but there's a massive price for that, for them. There's a massive price for that. Anyway, there's a big old waffle. Anyway, basically, read a summary. I don't know whether it's passed or not. we're just sitting, waiting, trying to sort as much as I can sort out in the process and ride this out. And when the truth of this becomes more clearer, it will ease the situation. But at the moment, it's not clear. At the moment, this is all about our individual choices still of who we truly are and which God we truly want to have our heart state connected with, which soul we want connected with our hearts right now. That's what this is all about. Big golden rings of light around you all out there. Sorry I haven't managed to get through all the comments there. I only managed to get through 2 or 3 there, but look at this, such lovely comments out there. Oh, Armageddon. I love these experiences. Thank you. Great morning from Utah. Great morning from snowy Utah. Well, this is now you're going to get the shifting of the axis now. Dutifully, artfully open. Love you, Dave. Wakes up, writes down. Damn, Sleeping Joe is still in our Oval Office. Yeah. He's a bit of a funny one, isn't he? But, you know, he's, we just don't know. And we don't know. And we don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. I'm not really against him. Not into his vaccine mandates. I see him holding on there. I do like this idea of kind of taking America out of a state of perpetual war. That's got to be a good thing. But whether that's actually realised, I don't know. But I always remember seeing that image. I don't know if you ever saw it when Angela Merkel came to Britain on some round about the Brexit talks and that sort of stuff. And she stood and she was doing that convulsing thing. Literally convulsed like that on the stage, in front of the microphone, in front of everybody, having like a psychic attack or something was really going wrong. Like the either her you know, I quite like Angela Merkel. I think she's really quite cool. I think the pathways that she's had to try and go through this. I don't think I know that kind of like, you know, during the whole Brexit thing, it was just like, they're evil. They want to take us into the free trade deal. They want to do da 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 da. They want to do this. It was all Europe, and then suddenly we're realizing. But well, as soon as we suddenly realized it's Boris Johnson and Trump that were just pushing that kind of free trade deal, no one said a thing. It was just like. He's just like, they want to take us into a free trade deal. It's just like, nothing. So strange. If that does not give you an idea, because I can guarantee that all those people didn't want a free trade deal, but they just don't understand the nature of their beliefs and how they are controlled in ways they cannot believe. Because belief is an invasive entity that has been governing who and what you are and what you think about the world. A narrative pumped into your head, invading your existence. That's all that's going here. Or all that's arriving. You know, the believers will be leaving. And that's just the way and nature of this, of what we give ourselves to if we lose our sacred connection. And we get pulled out of it through various different choices, the scenarios that we get pulled into. It's a difficult journey that we're on now. How do we connect with our divine space? You know, all of you need to connect with your divine space right now, and it's all about you, and it will always work with you. It is you. You know, it is you. And part of that process is commitment, beginning a practice and committing to it. Turning it into a practice, becoming dedicated in your process of connection, and being willing to look at your mistakes, evolve your mistakes. Your mistakes are the most powerful part in this, because they're the bits where you feel you've fallen short. And those bits where you can look at yourself, where you can identify where you've fallen short, when you can look at those, you can evolve and think how you would do those different, how you could even correct some of those old mistakes and remaster old works that you'd once considered a mistakes that were just an evolutionary process. All is just an evolutionary process. There are no mistakes. There's just getting better and better, slowly, sometimes fast. But this is a challenge time, and this is like entering the hell realm, what we're going to try and enter here. And the hell realm is the one you most want to get out of. So, if they do create a hell realm here, they're also creating situations that make humanity very powerful. Many of you have not experienced hunger, and you'll see and be able to do so many things that you can't do right now when you're a little bit hungry. Ideas that you just couldn't be, people you didn't know you could be, can be triggered with just a little bit of hunger. That's why cheap supermarket food is everywhere. Look at any predator animal out there and you'll see the cutest are the most savage when they're hungry. Look at cats and things like that. Beautiful, soft creatures, lovely. Absolute tear you to bits. Because they can take their proteins in such big chunks, they can relax. Like a bear, sleep for a whole winter. Anyway, I'm talking quietly and but many of you are predators. You don't even know you're predators. You don't know the power of being a predator, of going out after what you get, because you've never experienced, you've never triggered that. In Chinese medicine, they call it sanjiao, the triple burner, waking the triple burner. Kind of directing the energy of your liver. And it's all the same. East and West medicine, doesn't matter how you see it. And we have that kind of like, if you have energy in the liver, fiery energy in the liver, comes up through the mouth, comes up through the stomach. In Chinese medicine, they call it raging liver fire. We would say they're spilling blood. If we channel that energy into our spleen, where it's just stored and we're just seething about everything, it just chews over in the background. And it's just a long going, just a noise of hate, and just you can't enjoy your day, you can't enjoy a moment because there's an angry gripe going on, grinding. Oh yeah, it's one of them. Oh, yeah. It's just a grinding spleeny, and they need to vent their spleen. We see the same thing. And so the same thing in Chinese medicine, it goes and affects the spleen and causes all these kind of problems that come out in kind of like this much deeper kind of anger. And it doesn't rage, it's just this seething under constant anger that pollutes every environment. Or it gets channeled down through the gallbladder into the large intestines and becomes where Chinese, the kind of Japanese, Chinese sanjiao, the triple burner. It's all down here. It's all down your defense. That's your sanjiao. That's your triple burner. That's where your gallbladder is directing from your liver, taking all the oils from the liver down through the gallbladder and down into the large intestines where they power up your sanjiao, your triple burner, where you can express that anger in doing and being in a stance, not in a it can be, and ironically you express so much more clearer when you have energy. Your words don't come out in anger, and it goes down into your sanjiao and it comes in your body posture, and you take it into you're able to express that truth without spitting blood. And so this is all a process of energy. Water is explosive when it's compressed, hydrogen and oxygen. And we are emotional beings, we are water beings. And when you compress us and squeeze us into a corner, if there's no food and that sort of stuff, you create an explosive situation. And that can go one way or the other. They can go any which way. And many believe they can control that situation, but things can go any which way if a being connects, especially if a being connects not to a belief, but to their highest aspect, when they know that war and aggression is absolutely no pathway to their solution to this problem. Only peace will get you through this. So much love. I know a bit of a waffle and that sort of stuff. I just kind of like I'm in it with you guys at the moment, just kind of scratching my head, just not believing what's happening in the world, not believing what's going on, just wondering when the next biggest earthquake is going to happen. Caught you live. Hey, look at this. So big Christmas meetings to you all here. Do you know what I mean? It's lovely to see so many of you. You know, one of the reasons I leave all the comments up, even the nasty ones, I leave up because I just think that bear it all and just us all see it and just. But there's all such lovely comments here, and I really hope you have a lovely Christmas. Really hope you all have a lovely Christmas, and you know, we're just going to carry on. Just carry on. Don't let them. All these little stories, like we're all just hearing the latest story. They had a big Christmas party when they just told everyone to lock down in the House of Commons or wherever it was. I don't know who it was. Someone just, and they just let it slip. It was like some kind of Tory pre-brief or something, and they were just discussing it. And someone had just kind of leaked the video. Or I don't know really what it was all about. You know, other than they had a big party, but Boris wasn't there, and. And they're trying to make you angry. They're trying to make you angry. Go into your spleen. Go into your yeah. Don't do it. They play us to do all these different things and go down all these different emotions. They decide so many of the things that we think. And they offer different narratives to different people and the way in which they can control them. The control mechanisms are so much more advanced than you can believe. It's all beyond belief now. Everything that is happening is beyond belief. You are having to operate beyond belief now. You are doing it now, all the time, without even realizing. You are so much more evolved than you can realize. The weights that you carry are part of this whole framework. It's, if you could see the weight that you all carry right now, it is massive. The emotions that you're all carrying and everything, they're like massive weights on all of your shoulders. You know, your knees, all of them are buckling, all of you. Buckling under the pressure of this one way or the other, even though so many of you just seem to see carrying it through it. It's a big time and you're all carrying it. We're all carrying the massive weight of this together at the moment. All seeing it. All kind of holding on with your fingernails one way or the other through this massive process. And I know that those up there that are working with us, they put us in the highest state. You remember that the whole future of whatever happens in this planet, on this planet from here, is shone through a lens of whoever and whatever we can bring through in this time. We are the forefathers of this age. You are the forefathers and the foremothers of this age. That's the truth. The absolute truth. You are at the beginning of this. You know, and you are the ancestors of this age. Believe it or not, from their perspective. You look at them as the ancestors. But many of them see us as the ancestors. You know, however much beauty is created and whatever can be allowed to exist through this transitory period. Just project a lens through that. All your little actions. Just remember, lots of little is still lots. So lots of little bits of just pushing it through it, just pushing it through, sort this out, sort that out. Just and stand in your triple burner, your don't let them pull you off, don't let them direct that energy into all those different places. Just be strong. You can breathe right into it. Feels like you're breathing into your lungs, but you sense it. So much, so much love to you all out there. Whatever journey you're on, wherever you are with this, trust yourself, love yourself. This whole fiasco has shown us to be responsible for ourselves and not to leave our destiny in someone else's hands. Nice. Hi, Dave. Great to start my day. Great to start my day. Love, hugs, and prayers. Always be safe. Oh, thank you. Mary Kingsley. Main leaders are MK'd, botted non-humans. I think it means MK Ultra there, probably. Yeah. Yeah, but you're human, mate. What's it mate there? Could be Mary. Can you say mates to Mary? With me, you can, can't you, mate? Got like, mate. You all right, mate? You're human. That's all we need to worry about right now. And they're just pushing stories, and they're pushing other people to create the fear and that sort of stuff. And you just got to try and respond to someone in love and just say, listen, I do get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. I totally do. You understand what they're saying when they're saying, even if they don't agree, and then like, you've got to take this. You're like, I totally understand. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe to them you say, oh, no, I don't understand. I don't understand. Do you understand? I don't understand, actually. Yeah, so yeah, you understand when you don't have to understand. Yeah, anyway, I'm waffling, but yeah, the non-humans. Faith to the end, it will end and renew. The geological record confirms. I think you're right. Right, Mary? Cloned! Yeah, hundreds of big wheels and CEOs stepping down and going somewhere. They have been told what's soon to happen here. Once again, 8 new billionaires made in the last months, just here in America. John Adams there. Not Kingsley. Yeah. Yippee. Michael, who has killed a chicken and processed it. Yup. Sorry if I kind of read some of these out, and I'm just, like I say, my reading is absolutely terrible. And I've noticed that once I actually start, I generally get better. But honestly, I sound like the most illiterate kind of like, and I'm also a bit anxious, like, what the hell am I going to say? Mark Kingsley there again. Dave, there is so much friendship and laughter in process all over the world now. Ireland, Scotland waking up. Oh, that's good. I want to hear stories like that. I so want to hear that. I just got a funny feeling that it's going to be all right. I really think, like I say, leaving Europe, I had to see that whole process because that was my big part of my message and how I wrote Laughing Gas and why I was shown kind of like Britain as the Titanic and why I shouldn't leave Europe, and this whole kind of convoluted story that I've been on as I've been spoon-fed this information. I've been spoon-feeding this information to you, but honestly, for the amount of time I have the information and I get it up there, admittedly, I had a big lump sum, 4 years, probably way more than that actually, but 4 years head start of kind of like with writing Laughing Gas, taking into a kind of aspect, when I was going on about we couldn't be leave Europe, so many mates was just like, I don't want nothing to do Europe, what are you talking about? And other people were like, but no, I think a lot of people are starting to see now why they needed to break up this whole alliance and break up this whole thing, because they want to feed everyone into these free trade deals, and they cannot do what they want to do to us. without our permission. So they're trying to get it through sanction, through government policy and stuff like that, by these free trade deals that kind of like force us into these things through corporate backdoors, through these kind of like intellectual property membranes that they've created by these what do they call them, the in the free trade deals, free there's a name for the specific type of process that when they take you to court. When a free trade, you know, when two countries are a member of a free trade deal, and one country cannot do in the other country what it can do in its own country, it can take it to court, and it can be a closed room court process. It doesn't take the corporation to court; it takes the government to court. It's called a. Someone's going to write it down. I think it's called a member state. It came to me then. It flashed up from member state dispute system. But that is basically what it's all about. That's the big horrible thing that is enabling all this shit to go through. That we open up ourselves to a new level of sovereignty, which is basically us surrendering everything. Once you've entered into a free trade deal. Anyway, underground magma very active now. Volcanoes popping off globally. Is the seabed nobody sees coming. Well, I've often talked about that because of obviously the Emperor Hawaiian Sea Mount chain. I always go on about that. You know, the massive volcanoes under the ocean that obviously, as you say, is never talked about, nor there's really discussed is the 27, 28 new volcanoes on the Pacific side of Antarctica. You know, the other side is just absolutely buried under snow, more snow than normal. But that side, on the volcano side, you know, and they're going off now. They're going off. You know, they're creating crazy weather. We've got crazy storms about to come in now. But yeah, they're all just prepping for it, and the best thing I can do is just keep doing the same thing, really. The best thing you can do is just keep doing the same thing. Anyway, so I'm great to see that, you know, like I say, I keep the comments running as much as anything on my videos, just so you can all kind of get in contact with each other and all communicate and kind of big each other up, because, you know, we are a community. I know I'm pretty crap with comments, but for me to engage in the comments a lot, I do read the comments. I don't always respond to them, but I always read the comments. But emotionally, to run this channel and to do this, it kills me inside. I don't know why it puts me through such an emotional thing. I think it's because my own community is so difficult as well, to talk about something that is just such a faux pas. It's such a taboo subject. We have no idea really of just how much we are restricted to talk about certain things within ourselves, beyond our social circles and the kind of like the political correctness and whatever other kind of shit that goes on that makes it very difficult for us to express what it is we're really feeling. But it's so good to see so many people there. I'm kind of waffling now, so I probably should shut this down and carry on and just carry on with the work I was doing outside now. But it was just a bit of a waffle, but really say I don't know where we are really with now, and just we're just going to carry on and watch this space. But I think something big is going to happen now. I'm feeling it. Whether it is, you know, the least we can do right now is, if there's earthquakes and stuff like that, is just always keep food a bit stored. It's just safe right now. It's not illogical, is it, at these times? And water butts. Keep a little bit of water. Very easy for water to go flooding and that sort of stuff. You got all the flood, all the water becomes toxic and stuff like that. If you're in areas where you think, you know, there could be flooding and that sort of stuff, you know, it could be earthquakes, you know, just Just be a bit sensible through this stuff. And just know that if it's your time to leave now, for whatever happens, you are so looked after. You're so looked after. Be at peace. Be happy. Do the best you can. Be the best human you can. Help everyone as best you can. Help yourself as best you can. Keep pushing forward. Send you all the love in the world. Put a big golden ring around you when you're going into difficult situations. If you're dealing with anyone difficult and you just challenge, put a big pyramid up between you and them. If it's police, if it's security, if it's forces or something like that, construct a pyramid in your mind. Put a big golden ring around you. Put a big golden ring around them. Put a big pyramid up between you. You're at the base of the pyramid. They're at the base of the pyramid on either side. And up here, invite their highest aspect that is connected to their divine purpose and your highest aspect, and say, I'd really like to do whatever I'm doing now with your assistance, and I'm at peace with you. Will you help me do this, please? Because I really need to do this with your help, if that's okay. I'm at peace with you. Just open up that communication with them on a higher level. Open it up. Use peaceful techniques. Engage in processes that break away people's psychic hacks. You can help them with that. If they don't know they're being hacked and it's another agenda that's coming in through them, that's not actually here, you can ease them with that by not hating them, but separating the aspect that you don't like that they're doing, by not judging them, coming away from any form of judgment, any type of spleen, type of energy towards them. Just hold them in a golden ring and protect them from the noise, and bring them back into the heaven, into the temple in your mind's eye. Keep them so they can't be pulled, so they can't be used as a weapon. Help other people. You can do it outside of a situation you're not directly involved with. If you're trying to do it for the good and trying to help, you're just trying to bring peace to the situation, to soothe the situation. You do it. You see someone's really angry, and you do it, and you don't engage in their anger. So you don't directly. You send no angry. You don't do anything to engage. You put a big golden ring. You can make them completely forget what they're talking about. It's not necessarily. No, it's not necessarily them. It might be something all to do with you, and you're getting attacked through that. So you're going to have to navigate through these times, really navigate. And that is real navigation. You're dealing with the astral realms here, and the astral realms is the end of the world. They are panicking. Those that have invaded our astral world. It's just like here, except you know it is about to end. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do when your world ends? So there's a lot of fear connected with the astral realms of what's happening with this process. I just put an axe last week in the queue on Amazon. What does that mean? Does that mean you just bought an axe because you're going to preparing firewoody, kind of like, attack through others happen often on me. Oh yeah, all of us all the time, and sometimes we attack others. by sending out negative thoughts and having processes without realizing. We are used, and we lose faith if someone has invested time into you and you're kind of like, and you're in sympathy of their process. You're not support of their process. Sympathy is it's a very poor substitute for love. It is love, but it's a poor substitute for love. It's a low grade love. And sometimes we've got to fight for our friends and what they believe in as much as we. Some of you are so fantastic in the way you hear your different, the people around you, and you support them in their ideas. Some of you don't always know how to do that. I'm talking generically. Obviously, all of you out there, I don't know you, overall, there's a few of you out there that I've kind of communicated with here and there over years, but, I'm not being specific. I'm talking about giving and receiving, holding people in a high space and giving them that, holding them in a high space. It's a very nurturing thing to do. It's a very giving thing to do. It's a very generous thing to do. It takes effort. You have to kind of make allowances for people to bring them back into grace sometimes. Be quite forgiving. And so we've got to kind of catch ourselves off guard as well when we're doing that. Kind of like do it on all sides. And I do it. Kind of find myself doing it and saying, stop it. Doubting things. Feeding doubt into it, letting myself being a conduit for doubt. Rather than the open glass potential. Well, yeah, the empty glass potential. Very tiring dealing with Kool-Aid drinkers. What do you mean by the Kool-Aid drinkers? What does Kool-Aid drinkers mean? People often use that kind of term. It's like everything's cool, nothing's going on. The V is therapy. Sleepers. Wasn't always too sure exactly what the phrase meant. Bless you, Mary. Oh no, it's Kevin, isn't it? And blessings for Mary as well. Oh no, hang on. Ray, Mary. Prayers, Mary. I've been following you for years. Thank you for your courage, Dave. Oh, bless you. Our son has a corona. The stuff all started 2019. Our son sends X-rays. X-rays are ultraviolet light, aka rad. Rad is also alpha, beta, gamma, theta, delta. Rad causes sickness. ARS is SARS, is COVID-19. V is yes. I'm kind of like that last video I made, I'm kind of like, I'm looking very much at that same situation. I'm kind of more relating it to the dust and just simply the red iron oxide dust. Could that be? Isn't it mad that all the times we've had flybys, we've had the biggest flybys, we've had the most amount of and yeah. Anyway, that being said, I've been waffling on for I don't know how long. I probably should get off the line now and actually do some work, like I said. But when this flyby happens, and I'm pretty much sure that could have been it, like I say. But when this flyby happens, we are going to be on the other side of something, aren't we? And then we've got more. We have got more coming in. I mean, guys, this is this is going to carry on going. We're just on the other side of something now. There is going to be more flybys, but we also understand that because of the whole aspect of this fundamentally crossing the ecliptic planes, both systems, ecliptic planes are now crossing. This is the time when all the objects are coming out and crossing and potentially crossing the path of Earth. And this is a rare time, happening in 1939, 10 years either side, and it's happening now, kind of 10 years either side of kind of like of 2016, being Fukushima and all that. And not to say it hasn't been there before, it's just then it's been dropping down, coming round our sun, or getting close, drawn into our sun, but not quite going round perhaps, and but dropping down, and it's not coming near the orbital track of Earth, but when it's coming out, when it's coming across past the orbital track of Earth, being drawn into our sun and coming back out, these are the points. And so this is what we're in, and how much longer we're going to get these type of flybys. It's I think that this one we're getting right now is going to be the closest of all the flybys in terms of its level on the astral plane. Obviously, next year we could come in and the volcano could go off and carry on going off again, and it could just be that it can get even more level. I just don't think it can, because, like I say, this object is dropping down. It's going to be reaching. We know it's reaching down. It's crossed the ecliptic plane. It's heading back down to it. It's going to come back round, and if it's going down to it, then in theory it should go round it, and it should come back up again to head toward, be drawn in by our sun again in the next time round. So it should again cross in the northern hemisphere, but it might not. So we're just going to watch it. We're just going to see now. So let's just work on our astral body protection through this time. That's what this whole thing is about, is being here, being a divine highest aspect, incarnated and embodied in this time, and being in a place of power within that, being compassionate, being strong. And we could be taken any moment now. We've got nothing to fear. Got nothing to fear. Turn up at your door. Nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. You're not at war. You're not in pain. You're just going to do your best, and you're going to navigate through this as best you can, as you've always done. And it's going to bring us all together. It's going to make new alliances. And it's going to be an adventure. Whoa. Whatever comes, it's going to be an adventure. It is an adventure. So much love. Take care. Ciao.